Marshfield Dreams, When I Was a Kid, a memoir by Ralph Fletcher. Meet the Fletcher family, 9 kids, 5 baby chicks, 2 parents, and a whole lot of fun. Marshfield Dreams, Me as a Baby. This book is dedicated to my father, my sisters, and brothers, especially Jimmy, to my old best friends, Andy Hunt, Steve Fishman, and Freddie Fletcher, and to my beloved mother, Jean Fletcher, born 1929, passed away in 2004. It's a map of Marshfield. My house on Acorn Street, Marshfield. Me, about age 4 or 5. Marshfield. There's a town called Marshfield in the state of Vermont. You can also find a Marshfield in Maine, one in Missouri, and one in Wisconsin. I grew up in Marshfield, Massachusetts. The curly part of Massachusetts that sticks out into the ocean is Cape Cod. Marshfield sits on the ocean just above that curl. I live on Acorn Street in a regular house bordered by forest on 2 sides. Dad owned 7 acres of woods in back. Across a dirt driveway, we had Ailes Woods, a forest of pine trees. The pines dropped millions of needles, which gave the forest floor a nice spongy feel. Those trees were great for climbing. If I crawled out too far on a limb and fell, the soft needles cushioned my fall, so I never got hurt. The woods held magical things. We found snake skins, real Indian arrowheads, box turtles, beehives, snakes spit on tall grass. We dug up buried trash from people who lived there many years before. We saw gravestones, so old we could no longer read the names carved in them. We found all kinds of mushrooms. Some were edible, and others were poisonous toadstools. Mom said to think of them as strangers. Some are good, some are bad, and since you couldn't tell the difference, it was best to leave them alone. One morning in the woods, I stepped into a fairy ring of mushrooms, a big circle 10 feet across. There was a tiny stream in our backyard, small enough so you could step from one bank to the other. The stream flowed under the dirt driveway and formed a swamp at the edge of Ailes Woods. I loved the dank smell of the swamp and all the things that lived there. Mossy logs, googly-eyed frogs, bloodsuckers and eels, and foul-smelling skunk cabbage. Half the swamp was underwater, and the other half contained thick, dense mud. It was impossible to walk through that muck without getting stuck. More than once I tried and left behind one of my sneakers. A lost soul sunk forever at the bottom of the swamp. I got in trouble for that, but today I'm glad to know that something of mine was left behind in Marshfield. Here is my story. Junior, me, age 2, in a wagon. As the oldest of 9, I was named after my father and my grandfather. Some kids on Acorn Street teased me, calling, "Hey, Junior." Not that I minded. I liked having the same name as my father, but it did cause confusion in the house. Whenever Mom called out, "Ralph," Dad and I would both answer, "Yeah?" "No, Big Ralph," or "Little Ralph," she yelled back, to clarify things. I guess that would have annoyed some people, but it didn't really bother me. Dad was tall and handsome. I bragged to my friends that my father was so cool he had 3 jobs: teacher, milkman, bartender. I was proud of him. I loved knowing that Ralph could fit us both in one snug syllable.